Excellent. It looks like we are live on Facebook again. I am Primal Piggy. You can find me on Facebook by clicking the @ sign or typing the @ sign and the Primal Piggy, all one word. I'm also cross-posting this to a former page that I had called Magic Daddy, and I had a lot of followers there. I'm now using the name Primal Piggy more, and so I do generally do things related to tarot and magical practice. I stream some gaming, and I do BDSM education, and I now do that all under the name Primal Piggy, and I just kind of like that a little better, kind of having my three favorite interests all in one. Today I'm talking to you about Mabon and the Autumn Equinox. We're really in a new season. We actually just entered a new moon as well. It really falls at this time of year. We're really at a point in the season when the days are really equal. The light and the darkness are in what's called equilibrium. They're really kind of balanced. And we've really kind of reached that time in that season. We've also kind of reached the season. This is the second harvest festival or harvest sabbat. And we've kind of reached that season where you've planted a seed in spring. You've gone through the summer of that seed growing, and you've gotten to the point where you have harvested a crop. Or you have sowed your seeds of intention. That's a better way to put it. You've gone through a period of waiting. Those intentions have come to fruition, and now we're starting to get towards the season where those old intentions start to kind of die off or become dormant, and we're preparing for another time of putting out our intentions and our will into the earth, or into the universe. And so we're kind of in that, kind of at that balance where light and darkness are kind of co-equal, and we're beginning to start to tip towards the darkness, and we're kind of preparing to for the darker part of the year, for the more shadowy part of the year, at least in the northern hemisphere where I am. We're preparing for Samhain and then leading into Yule. And so it is what I'm talking about is both paganism and then all sorts of magical practice. It really applies to all of us. I'm not really into witchcraft. I wouldn't really necessarily consider myself a pagan per se, not formally, but this really applies to all magical practice. I'm going to pull some notes up here. This is from a Sabbat almanac here. It says that Mabon is a theme of balance. It's at a point where briefly the light and the dark are almost equal, but almost at the same time we're tipping toward the dark part of the year. Again, it's the second harvest Sabbat. There was Laban first, and then but it's the first dark Sabbat. Mabon was the son of a great mother goddess, according to Welsh lore. It meant great son, sometimes translated as great son, S-U-N as well. And as an infant, he was abducted and imprisoned, and later he was freed and returned to his great mother as a youth in his prime, or as the young god. And just as Mabon disappears into the darkness, he later returns. Nature also begins to enter a dark season, which begins to overshadow the light. And so then when the spring equinox arrives, the light once again gains control, and growth begins anew. And so that's kind of the legend of Mabon. That's kind of where we get the name. And it's really just a Sabbat that celebrates the dual nature of life and death, past and future. Like I said, those seeds of intentions that were planted in the past, they've now sprouted, they've grown, they've now been harvested, and and we're beginning to descend into darkness, eventual decay, and death. And so it's really that life, death, and rebirth cycle. That's really one of the most important messages right now. And really, for me, I'm going to close these notes here. This is a great time of the year to focus on shadow work. Shadow work for me is the light, light and shadow. The light in us is really everything that comes out of us. It's all of our external circumstances that we find ourselves in. It's really all of our outward expressions. It's the light is this physical body that people get to see. It's the clothes I wear, the manner and the personality that everyone sees. The shadow are the mysteries that are deep within me, the things that are somewhat veiled by darkness, the things that people don't always get to see. They are the personality that's deep within me. They may be past traumas, or they may be abuses. They may be my kinks and fetishes. They may be the things that I unconsciously don't even realize that I actually enjoy. It may be in unconscious things that I find pleasure in, that are either good or bad, things that are not seen, and so not typically seen. And so shadow work is when we come to terms with and step out of any kind of shame or guilt, and begin to embrace the darknesses within us. It's when we really do an inner healing work, just an inner coming to terms with who we are as a person work. And that is the shadow time of the year. And that is this is the shadow time of the year, and that is shadow work. And so it's really kind of great when the things that we do, the things that we're going through, the workings that we do match the season that we're in. That's just that we can really do shadow work any time of the year, but this is a special time when it's really great for that. It's going to begin to get colder outside. Of course, we're talking about the northern hemisphere. The southern hemisphere is in a different season, and but the northern hemisphere is starting to get darker outside. It's starting to get colder outside, so it's a great time to spend more time indoors. Spend more time looking inside ourselves. It's also a great time to cuddle up with one or more partners, to work on some sex magic. And it's just really a great time of year for igniting the fire and the passion of using sexual energy in magical workings. And it's a great time to build relationships, build intimacy in already established relationships, not making new relationships, but building the intimacy in already established. It's also a great time to, as things die and decay outside, it's also a great time to end toxic relationships and end toxic and negative associations that we have with others. And so this is the season. It's Mabon. It's the Autumn Equinox. We just entered a new moon. And I just wanted to just kind of briefly give you an overview of this season and tell you that you can use shadow work. You can use tarot cards or oracle cards. This is the Halloween oracle that I have here, and it is a great deck of cards. An oracle deck is a little different than a tarot deck. I also have, let me find it here, reaching off camera. I also have this tarot deck here that is great for this time of year. It has it is like really horror based, and so it has a lot of monsters and creatures. Let me see if I can get it up here. A lot of monsters and creatures here. Find some different ones. Here's the Ace of Cups, for instance. Real more horror based, and so it is great for this time of year. So anything that's more spooky themed, Halloween themed, kind of coming up on Samhain, but really anything that's kind of a darker themed deck would be good for shadow work in the pool of cards. Working on not what your external circumstances are, but seeing what the cards and any kind of divination you use tells you about things to look for within yourself, within your own personality, in your own mind, within your own ego and psychology. So anyways, thank you for watching this video. I hope that you will go like and follow my page at Primal Piggy. It's the @ the Primal Piggy, all one word. Thank you very much, and have a merry Mabon and a great autumn equinox, and really enjoy and get the fullness out of this season of the year.